is. I am Alice Fuller. I am the host, producer of this event, and I created this event called Social Media and Social Justice for Trayvon Martin because we've heard so much about, we've heard a lot about social media having a big impact in this trial and a big impact in the national discussion. But I had yet to hear any social media professionals literally talk about it. Now, as a social media as a social media professional, I wanted to talk to people who do it every day, who understand it, who use these tools for good and not for evil, um, to really kind of analyze the process. So I have invited. Well, first let me continue introducing myself. Sure Social is the business is my business, social media marketing business, and here in LA. And I have a panel here that spans the country, technically. So I want to really get in and let them introduce themselves really, really quickly. So I want to first start with you, Wayne. Introduce yourself. Go ahead, introduce yourself, Wayne. Introduce yourself, Wayne. Go ahead, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Wayne Sutton, and I'm still a geek overall, and I'm passionate about technology, using technology to change the world, and based in San Francisco from North Carolina, and really passionate about this topic in terms of social media for social good and everything. And I'm an entrepreneur and currently working on a platform in San Francisco to manage and rate pitches called Pitch 2. And thanks for having me on the Hangout, and looking forward to the conversation.
Wonderful. And next up, Mr. Daniel Maree. Introduce yourself, please.
Hey everybody, my name is Daniel Maree. I'm the founder and executive director of the Million Hoodies Movement for Justice. I started Million Hoodies last year around the march here in New York, and we were responsible for mobilizing people around the country and helped bring the Trayvon Martin situation, the case, to national attention. I'm here on with my colleague Amy, who's got the lovely headphones. But yeah, that's me.
Okay. Now, Amy, for you.
Hi everybody, my name's Amy Frame. I have been with Daniel and Million Hoodies since the beginning. I am an online publisher. I run a company, or help run a company called Open Thread Media. I also work for a large child wellness nonprofit and do web and social media for them. And Daniel, when he started Million Hoodies, I was a pretty much instant convert, and it's been kind of a crazy ride.
But a good one, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. An absolutely fantastic one.
Okay. All right. So for you that are watching it on YouTube, please put your questions there. If you're watching it on Facebook through the fan page, go ahead and use your you can use your personal pages and do your comments there. And those are the two places primarily that I'll be checking, or will be checking, for comments. So I wanted to use the hashtag for this event, and I was having a hard time trying to figure out one. It was going to be social media justice, but that's a little long, so I shortened it to just some justice. So hashtag some justice, and that's kind of like SO for social, ME for media, and justice. So use your hashtags, please. Some justice, okay? And so we're ready to start. All right. So
Okay,
I want to start by asking everyone, where and how did you hear about the Trayvon Martin story or the case to begin with? Let's start there. Where did you hear about it first?
Would you like to start with me? Or
Sure. Go ahead, anybody.
okay. I heard about the Trayvon Martin case via Twitter. On Global Grind, Michael Skolnick wrote a blog about the case, and that's how I found out about it. And that led me, I think, to an NPR blog on March 19th.
Okay. Wayne or Amy? Where did you...
You know, I heard about it actually on my one of the websites I run. Somebody had picked up a link from it, I think, from the Atlantic.
Okay.
And it started kind of circulating in our community and in our group. People started talking about it.
Okay.
Yes.
And Wayne, what did you hear?
Yeah, I saw it on Twitter first, and from there I went to I think I can't remember, was it a urban site or was it CNN? I went for more information. I think it was CNN, but first saw it on Twitter.
Okay. I asked that question specifically because I heard about it first, I think, on Facebook. And just in general, I'm thinking that more and more people are getting their news from social media. So I was curious to know if indeed that was where everybody first heard about the Trayvon Martin case. So with you, Daniel, you heard about it, and once you heard about it, what was was that what literally compelled you to start the Million Hoodie movement, or was there a step in between reading about it and then starting the Million Hoodie movement?
Yeah, there was a brief step in between. After I read about it, I wrote a blog post about it on my personal blog. And it was later that night, on March 19th, that I decided to create the event, Million Hoodies for Trayvon, and happy to kind of walk through how that all got started.
Okay. Now, when you were doing that, how difficult was it? Was there any challenge at all? Was there any challenge at all with starting it? Because technically, you could easily have, just did a tweet like a lot of people and just expressed yourself through through your blog and through Twitter, Facebook. But were there some initial challenges to literally starting that movement? I mean, because you were just one person.
Yeah, absolutely. There were tons of challenges. I don't really know where to begin. Maybe it might be best if I just kind of run through the presentation and kind of talk about the challenges in the context of where they came in.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, great. So I'm just going to do a screen share here with everybody, so you can all see everything. So, as you know, Million Hoodies really started with one story, with Trayvon's story, and from there it became a national story. It resonated with me personally. I think I have a 2-minute video that I'll play that just kind of shows you the progression of events, and then I'll kind of walk through those. Shouldn't take more than 10. Just to reiterate, this was a story that I read about on Twitter, and was so compelled by it that I wanted to do something. I knew that night on March 19th that I couldn't just rant and rave on social media, that it had to be a story that really appealed to people on a basic human level. So the simple truth at the end of the day was that, all of us at some point have been suspected of being something that we're not. So no matter what your philosophy, no matter what your politics, no matter what you feel happened that night that George Zimmerman shot Trayvon, we can all identify with that situation, and we can all do something to stand up to make sure it doesn't happen again. This really isn't a political issue. It's a matter of right and wrong. So the call to action then became, let's create a portrait of America that won't stand for racial profiling, because I did feel firmly at the time that George Zimmerman racially profiled Trayvon, and I still feel that way. So just to kind of give you context, throughout that week, I launched the video that the original video that you saw, and the Facebook event and the Twitter account on a Monday night at around 11 p.m.
Hold on, Daniel. We don't see you.
Can you see the presentation?
We see a page of the presentation.
Yeah, that's fine. We're just following the presentation.
Okay, there you go. All right.
Is that all right?
Yeah, cool. Go ahead.
Okay. Uh, so by Tuesday morning, Million Hoodies, the hashtag was trending on Twitter. By Wednesday, we called for people to rally in New York City. We had about 5,000 people show up in New York City. That then became the front page of the New York Times on Thursday. By Friday, President Obama had made his first public remarks on the case, and the Miami Heat had tweeted a photo of themselves in hoodies, and we subsequently saw a bunch of celebrities doing the same thing. We saw Congressman Rush wear his hoodie on the floor of the House. So this was really, again, a story that was driven by social media. And I think this next slide really shows that. This was a study that was done by the MIT Media Lab in partnership with Pew Research Center. And what you see here is the green line is the signature acquisition rate on the petition calling for the authorities to arrest George Zimmerman. If you look at the 17th of March, you see that the petition was starting to die down because there was no national news coverage of the story. So by the 19th, as you can see, when we launched Million Hoodies, that started to pick up again. Thanks to Twitter and Facebook around the Million Hoodies event, what we saw was the national news coverage starting with the New York Times on that Thursday, the 22nd, followed by the Washington Post and a couple other national news. And that really is what made the petition, made the coverage of the story take off. We spoke to, just another comment on this, we spoke to the Pew Research Center the day after the rally, and they said that on March 19th, Trayvon, they do a poll that basically measures the instances of national news coverage on a given story. They said on the March 19th, there was no national coverage of the Trayvon Martin story. His name didn't really even show up on their index. But on the 21st, after the rally, it spiked by 19%, which accounts for 1/5 of total national news coverage, which is something they said they've never seen before. So I feel pretty strongly that we had pretty significant impact on the pickup around the story and around the petition. But you know, really the strategic idea was not just to make noise, it was really to make change. And that's why we immediately connected 1 million hoodies to 1 million signatures on the change.org petition. And as you saw in the video, we provided short links and links on Facebook so that people could be driven to the change.org petition. Online, we also created an aggregator website which essentially used the hashtag Million Hoodies. Every time somebody posted a photo of themselves in a hoodie and used the hashtag on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, we were able to collect that. This is a screenshot of it within, I think, the first 24 hours. You can see we had over 100,000 submissions. That number went up to over 500,000 by the end of the week and has reached over 1 million today. Offline, what was happening was pretty spectacular as well. Around the country in over a dozen cities, we saw Million Hoodies rallies, and these were purely mobilized. And I apologize if I'm moving pretty quickly. I just want to make sure we have a lot of time for questions at the end because that's what I'm really interested in. But offline, we saw over 50,000 people come out in their cities across the United States. There were over, I believe, 10,000 people in Philadelphia alone. These were people who simply reached out to us via Facebook or Twitter, and luckily I had some friends, namely Amy, who's on this webinar, Tenjiwe Makaris and Andrea Cianave, who then got immediately in touch with these organizers in their local communities and provided them with the resources and the tools that they needed to organize something in very rapid pace. So looking at the results, what we saw were, you know, as the video showed, we were able to generate over 2 million petition signatures in what became the fastest growing petition in the history of the internet, over 500,000 photo submissions during that week. This really became the only news story of 2012 that received more coverage than the presidential elections in terms of national news coverage, which again is what Pew said that they'd never seen that before. But you know, what was really happening through social media was really didn't really paled in comparison to what I believe was the true return on investment for us, which was the impact that it had on Trayvon's parents having shown up at the rally in New York. And I just want to share this video with you really quickly. There were over 50 high schools across the country that staged walkout protests in the aftermath of the Million Hoodies March. And this is one of them. They sent this video to me maybe the day after the rally, and I think it's just very powerful. It really shows the impact that it had.
Okay. You have the video? No video?
Can you see? Can everybody see the video?
No.
No.
No. Okay.
Not at all.
All right. Well, I'll skip that slide. Can you see this slide?
We have one slide, which is the Million Hoodies one with the picture of
Website.
Trayvon. Yeah.
The website.
Well, you know what? Just so that we can dive into the conversation,
Yeah.
we can post a presentation online for other people to see. But
Okay.
I want to really dive into some good dialogue here for those that that really have some questions and really want to get into it. So can you put your face back on? I'm not put your face back on.
Sure.
Baby, let us see that pretty face.
Yes. Okay. So that was a great presentation. I mean, it's good for stats and figures, but I think overall, I mean, this is, like you said before, this is such a human thing. But it's great that through social media that you can measure the progress of your social media campaign, and you can literally see the impact of what you're doing online and how it affects what's going on offline. Now, Wayne, I want to bring you into this. Now, as a thought leader in social media, and you're one of my go-to guys. And when the verdict first came down, did people come to you and say, "Well, look, I'm a professional, but at the same rate, I'm so angry, I'm so outraged"? How do you even begin to separate yourself on a social profile such that you can say, you can express yourself but still keep your job? You can express yourself, or do you not? Is that it? Do you not even begin to express yourself? You just don't. You don't say anything.
Well, there's a couple things. So, one, first, Daniel, impressive, great, awesome work. Hats off to you, and especially like you said, a big RI is about the family. In the time of loss. I mean, that's just tremendous. I mean, hats off to you, Amy, the team, so forth. Congrats on all that. And just the whole situation overall was just a tragedy and sad in that. I've been in this space for a long time. I don't even do as much social as I used to. I do more entrepreneurship, building a tech company out here in San Francisco now. But I did a Skype call with a group in Durham, North Carolina, a couple of weeks ago. And before the verdict came out, and I still do what, when I used to advise clients and work with brands and so forth, I have my 5 or 6 rules of things I don't talk about online. There's race, there's homosexuality, there's porn, there's religion and politics, right? Okay. And it depends on your profession, right? And I'm not saying these are like do's and don't, the law. There's no rules. You do what you want to do on social media, but there's consequences with everything, right? We know the students don't get in college because the type of pictures they post on Facebook and Twitter, Instagram. There's the people who lose their job or don't because of the content they post. Teachers, find pictures of them doing other explicit things, now lose their jobs for being teachers. So there's consequences for all type of content you post. Even with the trial, there shouldn't be, because it's America, land of free, home of brave. Say what you want to say. But there's when you when you say something online and it can hinder your job or opportunity, then are you really free, right? Yeah. Just because there's consequences with it. So in a way, I got into a lot of race conversations in 2011 when I did an incubator on New Me Accelerator, and I was on CNN and all that sort of thing. I was in a lot of heavy race conversations about blacks in tech and so forth, and that was the most I've been. Well, it was the second time I was kind of in the midst of black in tech, or black, black, and then the whole conversation about race and everything. And my thing is, I just want to be good. I just want to be great and be the example, be a role model, and be successful, myself and my son. And then, even with the whole trial and everything, Wayne, I choose to be quiet about it. And I think about my profession. I think about the space I'm in, the city I'm in, people I interact with, workflow things I'm trying to get done. And there's a lot of people, despite what has happened, to be honest, a lot of people, they don't care. We live in a selfish country, a selfish people, I can say the country is selfish, take that back, but people are selfish by nature. They don't care. And then I'm 38 years old, and the tensions of how it is with race in America right now, I haven't seen this high. Now, my parents and my grandparents could probably say something entirely different, but in my life, since I'm in my time frame, the tension that we have in America right now, I haven't seen this high in my entire life, just in terms of race. And in terms of profiling, my last time I got stopped by the police just for walking down the street was in 2011. I was in Mountain View, right? That was on the CNN documentary I was in. I was walking back home from a yoga shop with my earphones on. 3 cops stopped me.
Wow.
So I can relate personally. I'm pretty sure we can relate personally to what could happen, how that feel.
Yeah.
Now what everything is happening is just to get back to your question in terms of the social media aspect of things. Even with the lady who watched the juror, she posted the petition, got the book deal denied, things like that, things what Daniel's doing and so forth. It's powerful, it's impactful. My thing is, like, and then even with the marching and so forth, my thing is, personally, I want us to be great.
Okay.
I want us to be like, and then we really, my thing, I'm not saying these things, because everything has happened that has an impact, it has influence. But it's like, I feel like my opinion, Wayne's opinion is that I feel like we need to be great and we need to go a step higher.
Okay. Okay.
And don't get this wrong, because I don't want to come off that, I'm not for this, I don't support that. But my personal opinion is like, our grandfathers, our parents, they march, right? Mm-hmm. What can we do now that even has a greater impact in that, right? Yeah. That where it's done respectful. Because I was around people who say, I'm in San Francisco, the people got on the highway to block Oakland, the traffic, right? Yeah. It's like, we want to be heard. Okay. Because what's the purpose for that? People complain, all you do is stop traffic, people lose money, but what's the purpose? We want to be heard. We want decisions. We want change, right? Okay.
Well, Amy, let me bring you into this conversation. Now, you do the social media for the Million Hoodie movement as well as the web development. How do you decide what voice you're going to have when you're doing the tweets, when you're doing the Facebook updates? Because on one end you want to be nice, but not that nice. But then you don't want to be overly aggressive either, because then you begin to scare people, or further scare people, or piss off people, and you don't want that either. So how did you decide? Okay, what kind of voice are we going to use such that we still can get our point across, and people know that we still, have some emotion about it, but we are not so emotional that we're ineffective.
Well, I think that. A lot of it comes from just our conversations between the four of us. Like, I think we all find little pieces of language, of idea that resonate with one another, and if it resonates with all four of us, that's usually a good indication. I will say the night the verdict came out, usually I'm just pretty much off the charts on social media. I come from a totally different tradition. I'm like, I'm not an anonymous person, but I'm a huge sympathizer. I'm sending Barack Obama tweets about Snowden. I'm gonna end up in a 4x4 cell somewhere, under an NSA building eventually. And I know that, and usually I'm just really pretty much off the charts.
Amy's the reason why the FBI are monitoring my phones right now.
I'm really sorry about that, man.
And I should clarify, Amy, sorry to cut you off. I should clarify, there are several people that manage the Million Hoodies.
Yeah, we all do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've all worked on the webpage together as well. Yeah, definitely. But I feel like that night it was really, we actually had come up with some ideas the night before. I was up till like 3 o'clock in the morning, some insane late hour, just like typing out like tweets and typing out like quotes and things like this and things we could say, and which I'm so glad we did. But I felt like it was the most measured I'd ever had to bend politically, and not because, you know, I don't care what the right-wing assholes think of what we say. I just don't. They hate us anyway. But I wanted it to be, I mean, we consider ourselves like, you know, our social media and our web community to us is a community.
Okay.
You know, and to me, I felt like, what can we say to one another in that, you know, I mean, that's an really emotional thing, you know, for everybody, you know, for all of us. And so trying to find the right things, measured things that express, you know, we're outraged, we're angry, but, you know, there's some reflection. There are some amazing things that we did out of this. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, there never would have been a not guilty verdict had we not done this, and we have to keep that in mind. For instance, you know, and trying to also just reflect on what I felt like people in the community were feeling.
Yeah,
you know,
Alice,
which I think we did a good job of.
If I could just piggyback on that, you know, Million Hoodies, what we were all about is really the creative output of the facts, you know. That's what we try to put out into our community and just have a conversation around the facts. And that's something that we haven't seen really, in my opinion, on the national news coverage of the situation. Not only have we not seen a candid discussion of the facts, but we haven't seen a discussion that involves young people, a discussion that involves the very people that are the ones being killed, thanks to Stand Your Ground, thanks to racial discrimination, thanks to Stop and Frisk, on a daily basis. And so that's what we're trying to bring to this conversation. And we have a very vibrant community on Facebook. We have over 15,000 fans. And so we're trying to learn what people find interesting, what people want to talk about, and we're really letting them drive the discussion just as much as we are.
Okay. Now, piggybacking on that, Wayne, when we start talking about the community element of it, on one end, in dealing with an online community, in this particular instance, I don't want to say it was easy to find people who were like-minded and to gather around Twitter, Facebook, or whatever. But let's just say for a cause that's not so polarizing, how important is it? Two things. How important is it to have one, a team? Two, how important is it to rally people, you know, either your friends, locals, and maybe even nationally beyond that? How important is it to have those two things if you're going to start a movement, if you're going to rally people around the cause?
It's tremendously important. It's like you can't do this alone, right? And I, you know, again, hats off to the Million Hoodie Movement team, because like the work they did to put in is one of the things where it's like it's undocumented in today's time, where there's brands who like pay millions of dollars to try to have an advertising agency to either reach that same community to get money off of it, because the African American dollar power is in the trillions of dollars. And then they know what we like and what we buy, so to reach that community. And then two is just to connect with them, to learn from other market research. So having a team and to reach the community, but also to manage the energy around that, because this is an emotional topic as well. And things can get heated even among each other. And everybody, I'm pretty sure that everybody wasn't all kumbaya. Everybody didn't always agree. And then there's so much content. There's so much content. I mean, you have content like, you know, Instagram, Twitter, you know, LinkedIn, Facebook, Google Plus. I mean, you name it. There's so much content. And then Slate did a story back in 2009 about the Black Twitter, right? And then
I was going to ask about the Black Twitter. I really was. Does it really exist, or is it just something talked up?
Oh yeah, it exists. I mean, it exists. I mean, there are influential people in the Black Twitter network and so forth. But it's like, it's not one person that you can go talk to. It's not one person you can go point to. It's a community of people, and everything is always hit trend and so forth. And data analysis and social media analysts and marketing experts since 2000, I'll probably say more along the line of 7 and 8. Back in those days, really been trying to like figure out ways and methods. And heck, everybody's still doing this now. The thing about it with this case is have to be around such a tragic situation, which is a very, very unfortunate. And what going off of that is that my thing is that this tragic situation happened. It brought the community together. It brought the nation together. It also brought the nation apart. And where you got people still feel like this is needed because they're afraid of black people, because of the black people they see are potential threats to them, and so that's why they need these laws. And the people who are making these decisions a lot are not us. And that's why I look at it. We talking about change. That's what needs to happen. And then the other side of that is where how many, I don't, again, please don't see this anything as a disrespect to anything or anyone or any family, but how many people have died in Chicago in the past year?
Yeah.
How bad is the black on black crime and death? And this is where, towards other races, where they look at African Americans as being so hypocritical, because we're like, oh, this went black on black, this wouldn't have been a problem at all. You guys do this all the time. But now it's a situation where not even a white man, but a mixed person kill somebody. Now that's a big deal. So from the outside perspective, people see it as hypocritical, and which is where I look at it as like, I don't say I agree, but I see their point. My thing is, what can we do with all of this to prevent us from killing each other?
Yeah, Alice, if I could just reply, I mean, that's Wayne. That's the only thing probably between the two of us where I strongly disagree with you. I mean, everybody keeps raising this point of what about black on black crime? To me, that's a crutch. To say that black people don't care about black on black crime as much as we do when it's a white killer is absolutely ridiculous. And you know what? When we bring up that discussion, nobody wants to talk about Ronald Reagan. Nobody wants to talk about the war on drugs. Nobody wants to talk about Iran-Contra. They just want to talk about, they want to use black on black crime as somehow an excuse because there's not as much outrage around it. We are outraged by black on black crime in our communities as much as we're outraged by the George Zimmerman case. It's just that we haven't really had a platform to talk about it, really. And so that's why I think it's very important that we bring in new voices to the discussion. We bring in young people who are experiencing black on black crime on a daily basis. And I know that I'm sure that's something that we can both agree upon.
Yeah, totally agree on that. And yeah, I think we're on the same page. I know we're on the same page. It's just a matter of like where I've been on other conversations and where that's what I'm hearing is like, they don't see us get that passionate or rallies around, the black on black crime. You know what I mean? Which is something that, I mean, it is what it is, but I totally agree with you most definitely to where, yes, we do care about that tremendously.
Okay, so you're both kind of sliding right into my next question, because if you're going to have this kind of impact, if you're going to have this kind of movement, you've got to set ground rules. And I'm curious to know, especially when you've got so many people operating a fan page. Not so many people, I mean, but you have a team of people behind a movement or behind the Million Hoodie Movement. What are the ground rules? You got to have some ground rules. Daniel, can you speak to that?
Yeah, well, luckily, Alice, today we have some really great social media management tools that allow us to really manage. We have a workflow for what content gets posted. We have a decision-making process for what gets highlighted, what gets not highlighted. It's really an open forum, but we have tools and systems in place that allow us to kind of manage it in a very kind of easy way. So it hasn't been a problem, to be honest. Yeah.
So when you first started, there wasn't like a group discussion. They said, look, we have everybody may not be on the same page, but we are going to stick to these basic things. We're going to post this, this, and this, and this, and we are not going to post this. Was that not the case?
I wouldn't say it's really on a case-by-case basis. Obviously, there's a ton of information coming in every second on this case, on this issue. Luckily, I try to really surround myself with very smart people like Amy, like Tenjiwe, like Andrea, who are capable of thinking things through and making smart choices. I'll also say that we benefited very much from the technology, the platform that we're using for our website, which is a nation builder platform, and I encourage people to go to mhoodies.org to join that site. And what you'll see is it's a platform that's never been used before, really, to mobilize people in this fashion, the way that we're using it. It allows you to do very unique things, and I think that's been a big part of why we've been able to mobilize so quickly and in such interesting ways.
Okay.
Yep.
Amy, I want to bring you back in. And what was kind of like the strategy in getting that change.org petition signed as rapidly? What? Yeah, just explain what was the strategy there. How did you get?
I think really it was that it was Daniel's sense that this is.
You're echoing.
Can you hear me now?
You sound like anonymous, Amy. What's going on over there?
We do not forgive. Okay, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Oh, it's bad.
What's going on?
It's bad.
Maybe try disconnecting your headphones and then plugging them back in.
Okay, hang on.
It's like bad auto tunes or something.
Is that any better? Did that help at all?
Ooh, it's still a little fuzzy.
Yeah. You're too young to know Roger Troutman and Zap, but Google it. Google it. Okay, speak. Go ahead and speak now.
Oh,
Hello.
now you're muted.
Now you're muted. We can't hear you. Can't hear you. Okay.
Maybe I can answer that. What was the question again?
Go ahead, Daniel. Please, go ahead.
What was the question?
The question was, what was the strategy? Because, a lot of people, you can see a lot of people going to change.org just to get petitions signed because they see other people doing it. But overall, I want people to understand there is a strategy behind getting people to do things that you want them to do. When you're trying to have a movement, you're trying to have an effective output. So, what was your strategy?
Well,
it wasn't just posted on Twitter and posted on Facebook.
No, absolutely not. In fact, that's the funny thing. Whenever reporters cover this story, they're like, and he put it on YouTube and Facebook, and it just took off. No, there's absolutely a strategy behind everything that we did. And again, the first part of that strategy was communicating the message in a way that was accessible, in a way that was
okay. This is amazing. Now he's frozen. Okay. Oh. All right. So
man down.
Okay. There's a joke in there, but I'm gonna leave it alone. Okay. So you were trying to explain the strategy behind getting that change.org petition initially signed, because once again, it's not as simple as, oh, they just posted it on Facebook and it went viral. Oh, they did a tweet and it went viral. There is a strategy behind it.
Yeah, I think that initially, it was largely chosen because this is what we felt like the ask we could make of people, like, here, can you do this? This family needs your help, and and it was very personal, that Tracy and Sabrina need your help, and it was something that was fairly easy to do. It was easy to share, so people could sign it and they can share it with their friends, and say, please also sign this. And the strategy really was just to get people to, pause and take 1 second, and when they, all these people snap their picture, to just also sign this, and then say, hey, I signed this. Here's my picture of solidarity.
Okay.
And here we go. And it was just something that people really, I feel like it was something that just appealed to people at a very, very, like, kind of visceral level, like just saying, even regardless of what happened, it was a way for people to say, to Trayvon's family, look, we support you.
Hmm.
And
And that goes into the next question, because how it was important that you aligned your movement with that of the parents. Um, if you had not done that, it's almost like, okay, we've got our movement over here, they've got their movement over
yeah,
there, and it's important that organizations, especially when you're trying to go for the same cause or the same goal, to work together. And
yeah,
so,
definitely.
and adding that human element to it, because once again, it's not just, oh, we're just going to put it on Facebook or put it on Twitter or do a little picture. It's making that
Right.
human appeal, such that it doesn't matter if you're black, white, Chinese, none of that matters. This is a human appeal.
Right, and I think that we because we came out of this, we didn't have any preconceived baggage. We
Hmm.
wanted to do what would make what would help them. That's all we kind of existed for, and so that made it much easier for us to just we've just really followed their lead in a lot of ways.
Okay.
And continue to do so, because the issues that they've highlighted as important since then, particularly Stand Your Ground, have become our issues.
Okay. Now, Wayne, I want to bring you in on more of the on the technology types thing, because I know you're an expert in mobile app and mobile development too. And how important at this point, because social is going mobile at this point. The day
Uh-oh. Are you there?
Okay, back
There,
up.
she's back. Are you back?
Can't hear her.
You're muted.
I'm back,
Okay.
but here's I don't know whether we're still broadcasting.
Yeah, you're still broadcasting. I see all
Okay,
the
so I'm glad I didn't curse.
No.
Ooh, wait till the thing is over.
411 Google.
Okay, so in the meantime, maybe we can get Wayne back. But
Oh,
I mean, you're here. I mean, Daniel back. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But I was asking you about mobile, and specifically, now that social is going mobile, or has gone mobile, and when you are trying to galvanize people around a cause, around a protest, and things of that nature, the days, if you're really thinking people are literally heading out with a computer, it's not happening. People are literally on the go now. So could you talk a little bit about, how important it is to have an element of a mobile strategy? You don't have to necessarily have a full out, mobile marketing and all of that stuff, but at the same rate, I would dare say a lot of the content that we're seeing was created on mobile. A lot of the information that has been that's being shared in real time is via mobile.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would totally agree. I mean, we are in the age. I mean, people said 5 years ago that, oh, everything's going mobile, but now it's 5 years later. Yes, everything is mobile, and it's now where it's not just 5 years ago it was all about just tweets and short status messages and updates and so forth. Now it's video and photos, Instagram, Vine. You got Snapchat conversations. You got everything type of ways to communicate, and also from creating content to just communicating among teams is all happening mobile real time. And so with any type of movement, any type of update, because you can't sit behind a computer all the time. You have to go, you got to run errands, and then there's marches of events you want to share content for. Like for this particular situation, there was the marches of the events, and you want to crowdsource that content. Or where's that content coming from? Everybody's out marching and so forth, participating. They're out doing it with the smartphones, the devices, so forth. And so that's where the mobile comes a big play. And so that's even when you kind of started this hangout, we're talking about having a hashtag. And so it's things that we know that when you start the movement or you do anything in social that just keep in mind of how to plan and prepare for it. Like a simple hashtag, let people know who's the team behind it. If that's a choice, let them know the why, and then make it easy. Let people know that you picking your 2 to 3 particular platforms to where you're going to really monitor the conversation at, and where they can reach you at, to where you're going to bring in and go from there.
And then too, on just to piggyback on that, right now it's become a visual medium, because even if you don't tweet, if you don't post a tweet, a literal text tweet, if you don't, if, even on Facebook right now, everything is coming down to the visual, because people don't like to read.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
I mean, listen,
Unfortunately,
people,
that's another problem. Yeah,
yeah,
pictures
people literally want to get in, they want to get out, they want to get their information. I just want to know the who, what, when, where, why, and where you need me to be, and boom, I'm out. But at the same rate, you know, for those people who are the photojournalists, for those people who have that kind of critical eye to frame a shot just so, you can't say that, okay, I can just take any old picture. No, 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 no. Let's be real. The reality of it is some images really move people to do certain things.
Agreed.
So, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Amy. Bring you back in.
Well, no, absolutely. I mean, I think that, I mean, I know from my experience with the Occupy movement, and one of our principals, Andrea's, really brings that to us. But my experience with them is what they can do in real time on the ground is amazing.
Okay.
And it's just incredibly impressive. Like, you know, the way they can, you know, they can hook up a celly on a cell phone and tell people where to go up to the minute.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's pretty amazing, and I'm sure the NYPD gets tired of chasing them around, but you know, they're good at it, you know, and that's the kind of thing you can do. You can tell people, we need people at this corner. We want people to be over here, or can we get some assistance with this, or we want people to come and take pictures on this corner because something is happening, and that's, you know, that makes our job easier. I mean, it obviously provides some challenges too, but I mean, I think it makes it, you know, a lot easier to be effective when you're in the streets.
Okay. Well, we're missing one integral part of this conversation, and he's having some technical difficulties getting back in. So there is a part 2 to this, July 29th, I do believe.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully all of our technical difficulties, we'll laugh at this day. Next Monday. And maybe, you know, then, you know, everything will just literally fall into place. This is like first time jitters or first time whatever. So we had a couple of difficulties, but overall the conversation has been good. So I'm eager to talk about more strategies that really people can, once this hangout is over, they can take it to the streets, not literally, but, you know, wherever they want to take it, they have at least some solid points. Like Wayne, you were saying, you know, where do we go from here? What's next? What do we do next? So I literally want to talk about what's the next thing. I did not create this hangout just to gripe about what happened, because we can't change what happened.
Right.
We can't go into the past and change a thing. If that were the case, technically this hangout would have been technical difficulty free. But
Yeah.
what we can do now is so much more than probably what our parents could do technically. So, and I do want to talk about some generational things in the next hangout. So we're going to wrap this one up, and hopefully everyone who came in, please forgive the technical difficulties. We'll aim to do better the next time. Okay?
Fantastic.
Good night, people.
Not everybody.